talk about endowments. We've talked about a lot of different things that you can do, a lot of different support strategies, a lot of different types of support. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is something that is also called a diversified funding stream. So we do a lot of development planning with clients, and we talk about different ways they can bring in dollars. So this is that part of your budget, because you're a business, that you need to know all the different ways you can bring in dollars and be able to predict how much you're going to bring in with a strategy for how you're going to do it during the year. If you're an organization that is ready to establish the fact that you're going to be in existence for perpetuity, so like forever, you're going to be here and you're going to be providing things to the community, if you have the dollars and the capacity to do it, you might consider establishing an endowment. Now, let me tell you the basic concept of an endowment real quick. Some people aren't going to be familiar with endowments. Some people aren't very financially minded, and I get that. So I'm going to use an example for you, and I'm not an artist, so don't be judgy. This is a tree. I think that pretty much looks like a tree. The next part gets kind of sketchy, but we're going to say this is an apple tree, if I can get my red pen to work. Okay, so these are our apples. Again, they probably look like cherries. Don't be picky. Okay, that's not very many, but that'll do. Okay, now the tree itself is what we're going to call the principal of your endowment. Okay, so this is the principal, and the apples that grow are going to be your interest. Okay, so when you put money into an investment account with principal, it's going to grow because it's being invested and it earns money throughout the year. I'm going to use an example here with the North Carolina Community Foundation just because I'm familiar with their policies. In North Carolina right now, it costs $10,000 to start an endowment with the North Carolina Community Foundation. There's lots of places where you can start an endowment all over the country. It doesn't have to be through a community foundation. I'm just using them as an example because I'm familiar with their information, okay? Now, we have to have at least $10,000 to start this. Let's say that we have $1 million at some point in our endowment. Maybe someone passed away and left you a bequest. Maybe someone on your board is generous, whatever. Let's say you get to the point that you have $1 million in your endowment, okay? Now, the way an endowment works is that you draw down a percentage of the interest that you earned. You don't draw down all of it because then it would never be growing. So you're going to draw down 5% drawdown annually. Okay? Now, the way you set up an endowment is that you state what you'd like to do with that money. You don't have to state something super specific like we're going to buy brown paper towels with it to supply the downstairs bathroom, but it could be we're going to use this for general operating or to offset the cost of this program or whatever you'd like to do. The majority of people use it to offset the cost of general operating, therefore you can use it for anything that you need throughout the year. 5% of a $1 million capital or endowment is $50,000. So every year you're going to bring in $50,000 that you can use for whatever you need. That's a salary, sometimes two, depending on your organization. So being able to create this means you're going to have $50,000 at a minimum every single year forever, and this principal of $1 million is never going to go away. This is not a savings account where you're like, ooh, we need some money this month, let's go take some out of our endowment. That is not the purpose of an endowment. The point is you want to try to grow it, which means you have to have a development plan in addition to just knowing you have an endowment that tells you how you're actively growing it. Whether that's a planned giving program, maybe some type of heritage society where people give you a $5,000 gift now and then a promise of leaving you in their will, so you're actively recruiting people to give to it. Maybe your organization is taking 5% of all of their unrestricted deposits every time you make a deposit and applying it to your endowment. Maybe you have a major unrestricted gifts policy where anytime you have a major unrestricted gift that comes in that you're not anticipating, you're taking 25% of that and putting in your endowment, right? So you have to have active ways to grow it. Maybe you have a capital campaign, and part of your marketing for that is 5% of all the gifts that come into the capital campaign will help us grow the endowment. So then you have another way to grow the endowment. Maybe you have a fundraising event every year with the goal that 50% of it is going to go to support this program and 50% of it is going to go to grow our endowment. This is an amazing funding stream. I encourage you, when you get to the point that your organization is mature enough and you're ready to have this conversation, that you research an endowment and figure out if it's right for you. Okay? That's my little spiel on endowments.